Okay. Well, I always love our second, well, it used to be Monday, now Tuesday of the month, because I love hearing from Chelsea. But we did start thinking that we used to love to learn about products as well. For those of you who've been with us a long time, April, Chelsea's sister, used to give us some incredible product training. So Rebecca was kind enough to agree that at the kickoff of the second Tuesday of each month, she would train us on a different product. And Chelsea suggested the black cherry lime hunger control mixed with balance because that's been such a big, huge thing lately that's helping people immensely with weight loss. Rebecca, if you guys don't already know this, she's a brilliant nurse practitioner. She's smarter than any doctor I've ever known, and she is just unreal. So, Rebecca, I'm just going to hand it over to you and you do your thing.
Thank you, as always. You know how to make somebody feel special and appreciated. So always appreciate the introduction, Noelle. And yeah, so just for anybody who doesn't know me, Rebecca, and yes, the black cherry lime and the balance. And honestly, these are two of my favorite products. I mean, the slim all over, but I don't know. I could go on, and I'm sure everybody will keep me on task here because I do tend to get a little bit overly excited about these things. But starting just with the slim, um, I think the main component about the slim, like the coolest thing about it is that it balances your blood sugar. And I know a lot of people think, okay, well, that's great, but I'm not diabetic. So if I'm not diabetic, what importance does that have for me? But it's not just about, being diabetic. It actually, if you have an afternoon crash, right? If you get that lull in the afternoon, if you're somebody who gets like shaky, if you've had a cup of coffee and nothing else to eat, or you get really hungry or irritable or hangry, as a lot of people like to say, right? Or if you have difficulty staying asleep at night, if you get woken up in the middle of the night, if you're sick more often than not, or even if you have like sugar or salt cravings, those are all components of having an imbalanced blood sugar level. It's basically spiking and dipping and spiking and dipping. And the idea with the slim is that it keeps your sugar at a more even keel, essentially. So instead of having this wide swings up and down, it's more stable. That's one of the reasons it provides energy. A lot of people are like, is there caffeine in it? No, there's no caffeine. The energy actually comes from having that stabilized blood sugar level. So the ingredients in it, all the things that basically help to stabilize the blood sugar, are a chromium polynicotinate, which is actually a combination of chromium and niacin, which is vitamin B3, and that helps balance your blood sugar. It also helps with weight loss, and some studies have actually even shown that it helps improve muscle mass. And as we know, the more muscle you have, the more fat you burn. So, based on some of the preliminary studies on the fact that it improves muscle mass, that's just kind of a positive feedback loop as to why it would continue to help fat loss and breaking down sugars and things. It also has polydextrose in it, which is essentially a synthetic glucose polymer. So it's a soluble fiber, which makes sense. Obviously, we're throwing it in a drink, but it can't be digested. So it has like 1 kilocalorie in it, essentially. But because it's a fiber, it helps us feel full. So it gives us that feeling of satiety without actually being something that we can absorb. It doesn't add any calorie density to our what we're intaking. And then it also has alpha lipoic acid in it, which lowers blood sugar, is also a really potent antioxidant. So it helps with like oxidative stress. It's another one of the things that improves our energy levels. It's also actually been shown to help with nerve pain as well as mitochondrial health. So essentially good for every cell in your body. What are the other ingredients in Slim? I know there's Garcinia. So Garcinia cambogia, chlorogenic acid, and mulberry. And Garcinia cambogia, I feel like this has been on the market for ages, right? And like everybody knows of it as something that's really good for weight loss, but it's actually the HCA in the rind, which is hydroxycitric acid. And not only does it help with weight loss, but it actually decreases our insulin level, decreases our leptin level, which is leptin is your hunger hormone, also helps reduce inflammation and increases insulin sensitivity. So won't take the tangent on insulin, but blood sugar in and of itself is not always the culprit. It's the insulin sensitivity and the rising insulin levels. Like if you've ever seen diabetics, once they're diagnosed and then they get put on insulin, a lot of times they actually get sicker. And it's because they already have insulin sensitivity. Their cells don't respond. We drive their insulin up. It's just perpetuating the problem, essentially. So Garcinia actually helps to combat that. The mulberry also has been used in Chinese medicine for years for diabetes, and it also essentially helps from an antioxidant perspective, as well as actually it has like anti-tumor, anti-inflammatory. It's actually been shown to have neuroprotective properties. So all over, right? Like those are just the things that are in Slim. It's very holistic as far as like the blood sugar balance, but it does so many other things. And the secret sauce in the black cherry lime is spirulina. So that was actually only thrown in to color it. But if you look into the benefits of spirulina, it also actually helps in reducing inflammation, helps with bloating, it helps to lower cholesterol, it can improve blood pressure, and it also increases muscle strength and has been shown to have some effect on reducing hot flashes as well. So that's the black cherry lime hunger control. And then the balance is a really cool 4-ingredient bottle of mulberry leaf, common bean extract, cinnamon, and what's the fourth one? I don't have glasses on, so I might not be able to see it. I know there's one other. It'll come to me because I can't see that. But the white kidney bean is also helps to balance blood sugar levels. So again, we're just like kind of all around this blood sugar balance. The common bean actually is an alpha amylase inhibitor, which just means that it stops the breakdown of glucose bonds. So like if you think of fructose, the first thing that they do with fructose is use alpha amylase to cleave it so that it's more readily absorbable in our body. So if you inhibit that, you're not able to break down the sugars in your body as readily. So it delays sugar absorption. But the really cool thing about that is it delays the sugar absorption. It can't get through as much, but it's not affecting like the nutrient absorption and the proteins and the rest of the ingredients. So your sugar is not getting through as rapidly. So again, kind of muting that spike, but not affecting the rest of the ingredients in the foods that you're eating. And then cinnamon is one of those other like all around, I don't know if anybody's ever looked into like cinnamon, but it's got like antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, anti-cancer, antimicrobial, like it's like a superfood. So cinnamon being in there again, kind of is a holistic all around, helps, promote health, fight disease in kind of like all the areas. Also been shown to have a lot of like neuroprotective functions in the arena of like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's disease. So again, pretty much just regulating the glucose balance, just helping to slow the breakdown, and also helps with satiety with that because it's slowing down. But the really cool thing about when you put these two together is they work kind of like a GLP-1, which like the Wegovy, the Ozempic, the Saxenda, all of those skinny shots, right, are GLP-1 agonists. The thing with GLP-1, I did my little tangent quickly on insulin, right, is that they help with satiety, right? So they help you feel fuller, but they also drive up insulin. These ingredients together manage your blood sugar level without driving up your insulin. They actually prevent more glucagon from being like dumped into your system. So you're not putting more sugar in your system. And they also, as I mentioned, help with your insulin sensitivity. So they're actually keeping your insulin level as well as your blood sugar level more stable. They're not dumping more sugar into your system. Plus, they're helping you feel fuller, and they're helping with weight and cravings and satiety. So that's why there's so many things about this combo really being so effective for weight loss, satiety, hunger, and just again, overall health, because when your blood sugar and your insulin are stable, really all of your hormones are working more harmoniously.
Rebecca, somebody asked in the chat if you'd get the same results from regular hunger control as black cherry, and what's the difference? Because I feel like that people have had a lot of success even switching from regular hunger control to the black cherry. Can you speak to that a little bit?
I mean, the spirulina is the only difference that I'm aware of between the blood orange and the black cherry. So as I stated, I mean, you're still, the polydextrose is in both, so you're still going to get that like satiety to fullness, because again, it's the synthetic glucose polymer that doesn't impact, your kilocalorie count essentially, but it's making you feel fuller, decreasing your need to eat more. But the spirulina, again, with just and I don't know if it's a combination of the spirulina along with the various things in balance, but it's the only kind of secret sauce of the black cherry as opposed to the blood orange. So you're still going to improve your leptin, your satiety, the blood sugar balance with the blood orange, but the spirulina is going to help to kind of really drive that all home, as well as, again, it has like the antioxidant. So you're further improving holistic health with like your antioxidant, neuroprotective. I want to say there's another third thing, reduced inflammation. So, yeah, and I guess that probably too, right? Because they're reducing inflammation, a lot of people too, right? Like you may not see as much numbers on the scale, but as we all seen from the reset, you reduce inflammation, that makes a huge difference overall. So that's probably the biggest thing with the spirulina and the black cherry lime.
And I think too, people who take Microbiome Slim don't necessarily take it before a meal to kind of help with hunger control. So I think a lot of people are noticing a difference too, that have switched over just from microbiome to hunger control, taking it before a meal or taking it in the middle of the afternoon when you feel a little bit snacky. That can really help, even with both of those. Can you talk a little bit about, because I've gotten this question a lot, and I started Balance myself. I started it back in January, and January was such a crazy month, I wasn't able to be consistent. So I started it consistently in February. And I've gotten a lot of questions about like, when is the best time to take Balance? And I know people who are taking it mid-morning and having great results. I know people who are taking it mid-afternoon before dinner, and people are having great results with different times of day. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. And I've actually had that a lot too. It's like, what is the optimal? I usually give the exact same response I give to people with like the medications too. It's like, whenever you can do it consistently is the best time to do it. It does have a 6 to 8 hour window of effectiveness. So I usually recommend, if you can, the optimal would be either morning or afternoon, but also that depends on, the individual, right? Like if you're an intermittent faster and your eating time frame is like, 11 to 6 or 12 to 6 or, 11 to 8 or whatever it is, then probably before starting that, closer to like midday is better, as opposed to, if you eat the preponderance of like your food or your calories earlier. So I'm like, if you kind of pair it with whenever you're eating the bulk of, whether that's breakfast and lunch or dinner for you, and again, based on any type of specific fasting or food schedule that you're following, but again, because it has a 6 to 8 hour window, what's best for you and what can you pair it with so that you can do it consistently.
I love that answer. And I found for myself, I know people who are loving it mid-morning. I started mid-morning and I found that by 4 o'clock in the afternoon is like my bewitching hour. That's when I get the snackies. That's when I'm like, it's almost dinner time, Shannon. And so I found that taking it mid-afternoon has really been good for me. So I'm having good results with that. So.
And I was going to say, I remember Stephanie actually mentioned at one point too, I don't remember if I actually heard her or Noelle had said, but that she takes Balance right before bed. And that's actually something too that I mentioned, right? Like you don't have to be diabetic if you have like night, not like midnight, but sometime during the night awakenings. That's actually sometimes too, because if you eat later in the evening and you get that spike before you go to bed, what happens is that you're dipping then when you're sleeping, and when your blood sugar dips after the spike, if it's not balanced, then your adrenals actually kick out cortisol, because cortisol will raise your blood sugar. But because cortisol is a stress hormone, they're also waking you back up. So not only is it raising your blood sugar in the middle of the night, but it's waking you up too. So for people who have that, if they're later at night eaters, if they eat later in the hours of the evening, that might be helpful if they find there's somebody who wakes up throughout the night.
That's such a good point. And somebody asked about, can you take Balance 2 times a day?
Yeah, you can. I mean, I think the recommendation is just 2, but I mean, if you have more of like a whole window, like I said, 6 to 8 hours. So, I mean, if you're taking it 8 hours apart and really spreading that throughout the day, yeah, you could absolutely use 4 reasonably.
Okay.
I mean, the fact that it's plant-based and you get it all from foods.
That's right. Okay, I'm going to ask one more question because I've had this personal issue and I know several other people have too. do you need to adjust BioCleanse or any of your other supplements with balance? Because I have found, and I struggle with constipation just on a regular basis anyway. If I'm not taking my BioCleanse, forget it. And I have had to play around with my levels of BioCleanse as taking balance. Do you have any recommendations for that, or just kind of on as needed basis?
I would say as needed. I would say some of the ingredients in the balance can actually, so like, have you found you've needed to increase or decrease out of curiosity?
Increase. I'm
Increase?
really a 2 a day kind of girl for BioCleanse, but what I have found has worked really well for me is I'll take one BioCleanse with my balance, and that's I'm good. So I'm taking 3 now versus 2. But if I don't take it with my balance, then it's not good.
Okay, because I was gonna say there's actually, I believe it's the white kidney bean, but also the common, because they're legumes, can actually cause more regularity. So I would think you might have actually needed to decrease it, because that's just like with, what am I trying to think of, metformin, which is irrelevant, but just medications. That's like the one common side effect of medications is causing more kind of gastric flow regularity, whatever. And the balance can have that effect as well. So I find it actually interesting that you said you needed to increase the BioCleanse, because I've actually heard some people who've needed less of it because of the balance. So
Isn't that interesting? It's just like listen to your body. It's just with all other supplements. There's no one size fits all. You know, I think that's my body's like tendency is to just kind of get backed up. So who knows? Oh my goodness, I have a page of notes. Rebecca, you're amazing. You're awesome.
so are you. Thank you though.
Susan asked, she said, can I take too much BioCleanse on a regular basis? Is 4 to 6 daily okay?
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, I mean, I know I heard your story at the Pilates and Plexus and Pilates, which was amazing. But yeah, I mean, if that's what's helping you be regular, and I know that you were on like the, not Metamucil, but all the things before. Yeah, I mean, and again, I think most people are magnesium deficient too. So, I mean, the only thing I guess I would maybe caution, if you were to get higher than 4 to 6 would be any other supplements that would contain magnesium, but yeah, so yeah, I wouldn't worry about it.
Can you expand on that a little bit? Because Chelsea and I called her actually, because sorry, TMI, I'll have this conversation. But I'm newer to the consistent products, and I was doing, I think, 2 to 3 BioCleanse at night, the ProBios. I would take that at night, and I got super regular. That was consistent. I started balance and really started struggling. And I added magnesium glycinate, and it has been extreme on the opposite end now. And so now I'm like, which one? I thought the magnesium would help a little bit, but it actually seems to not be agreeing very
With
well.
your system.
Mhm.
So now that you added magnesium glycinate, you're actually more backed up essentially, is what you're saying?
No,
No, you're overly regular. Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's been like the other extreme where it's like, now I'm just feeling like, because I was reading that, is it possible to have too much magnesium?
You can overdo magnesium. That's why I said when Sue asked about the, like, is 4 to 6 too much? And the 3 that are most readily absorbed are sorbate, glycinate, and then citrate. So I mean, there's like
I have
probably 20 plus,
second
but
one, you said.
yeah, so the glycinate's really highly absorbed. The magnesium hydroxide that's in the BioCleanse actually combines with the vitamin C in it, so it becomes a magnesium ascorbate because of those 2
Okay.
ingredients. That's like a chemical reaction, so it's also highly absorbable. But if you're doing both the BioCleanse, which is the ascorbate, as well as the glycinate, then yeah, you're having a lot of osmotic effects because both of those essentially just pull more water into the bowel to create the laxative effects. And so if you're overly regular at this point, I would say maybe, drop
Okay.
the glycinate.
So
Since
that
you
is
added
good
that
to
on and
know,
found
because
that.
I've been getting asked about magnesium and I wasn't sure. So can you say that one more time? In the BioCleanse, what that does?
The magnesium hydroxide and the vitamin C basically combined, so it's a magnesium ascorbate.
Okay.
Because I know most people look at it and say, well, it's magnesium hydroxide, which if you do any research on magnesium hydroxide, it's typically just like gas and bloating. It doesn't really have as much of like the osmotic or laxative effects to it. But because of the vitamin C that's also included in the BioCleanse, those two combined, and that's what actually creates magnesium ascorbate. So if you're looking up really what type of magnesium you're getting in BioCleanse, it's magnesium ascorbate.
Thank you. Okay. That's perfect.
So smart. So good. Any last minute questions for Rebecca while we have her on the line? She's amazing.
That was so helpful.
So helpful. Thank you for volunteering to do these once a month for us. We'll do these the second Tuesday of each month. And I love that. Thanks, Rebecca.
My pleasure. I like to geek out, so I'm glad you all enjoyed it.
Can I just add in here too? I don't want you guys to feel at all like with Rebecca or anybody else who comes on here and talks so in depth and professionally about products. Please don't feel like you need to be this expert when you talk to people who come to you about Plexus. I used to do this in the beginning where I would take notes and like, listen to professionals like Rebecca on these calls and feel like I needed to learn this stuff. You don't. It's okay. I want you to know, like, there's always, when we talk about supplements, there's always this like base level of troubleshooting with people. So what I try to express to people who come to me about Plexus is, I think that the best advice I can give you is to, like, I just talked to a girlfriend today. I said, if you want to try this stuff, you need to give it 90 days. When you talk about introducing probiotics and new stuff into your system, give it 90 days. So I always come from this perspective about giving it time, but I don't want all of you to feel like I need to be a health expert to be able to do this business or to, I don't know, sell this stuff or whatever. I really feel compelled to say that because I used to stress myself out when people would ask me questions about it. Well, what if I have high blood pressure? Can I do this or can I do that? When it comes to health stuff, like it can get a little sticky, and I don't want you to feel like unprepared or stressed out. Don't be afraid to tell people, you know what? I don't know. Let me ask and see if anybody, in my Plexus world or on my team has experienced that. But don't be afraid to ask your doctor either. I always refer people to their doctor. Like, we're an open book here at Plexus. We're transparent with all the ingredients, all the things. I can send you a label of every product we have. So don't feel like you need to diagnose anybody, absolutely know every ingredient, every product. Oh my gosh, if somebody has, I don't know, Hashimoto's, can they take these products? Like, I just don't want you guys to get in the weeds with, I need to be a health expert. We are blessed to have health experts on our team like Rebecca, but I just feel compelled to say that. Don't feel like you need to be that person to be successful in this. So I don't know if Chelsea or, Rebecca,
Well,
you guys want to add on to that. I just want to say that, like,
Steph, I love that you said that because tomorrow's my 9 years with Plexus. And my first 50 people that joined me, I was like, it's legal and it works. That's all I knew. I was like, knew nothing else. And some of you have been here around, have heard my story. But I mean, yes, later on, I decided I needed to learn some of this stuff, but I still can't even pronounce half the words Rebecca does. So it's okay. You don't need to. You just have to be passionate about serving and that you can help people. Like, people are at home crying themselves to sleep tonight because of their health, and you can be that person. But if you hold yourself back because of a fear, like you might not sound perfect, I'll be honest, Rebecca talks over most people's heads. I mean, we love her, but like the average person would be like, what did she just say? Give them the analogy. 3 cars go into the car wash, only 1 comes out. You got a problem, right? So I do love that you said that, Steph.
As Rebecca was just talking, I'm taking notes, and I was honestly imagining pulling her aside on the beach this weekend and saying, okay, Rebecca, let's dumb this down, because I think I want to like really take her knowledge and say, like, I made notes, like, okay, signs your blood sugar's off, you're hangry, you're not sleeping, you have sugar and salt cravings. And I'm imagining making these great graphics with bullet points, right? Like signs your blood sugar might be off, bam, 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 and really kind of, dumbing it down, right?
That's it. Like, and that's what I love
That
about
we
these.
need to know, right? Yeah.
That's right. Well, that's what I love about these product trainings, because these product trainings are for us to like get a deeper knowledge of
Right.
the products. But the average person that we're talking to has no idea what magnesium
None.
phosphate is. Like, she doesn't care. She cares that she's not pooping and she's not sleeping. And that's
Right.
our job, is to educate ourselves on the back end, so that when we get on social media and we're talking to somebody in real life, we can come to them with the confidence and say, you're having issues going to the bathroom. This is going to be a game changer for you, so that we can go and speak confidently in layman's terms to people and
Mhm.
have the background knowledge to back it up. And that's what I would say, like, that's how I'll chime in on you, Steph, is like, I'm certainly not a health expert, but I think so much of this is in your approach and how you talk to people. I'm not a health expert, but you better believe when I'm talking to somebody about Plexus, like, I'm confident in what I'm saying and what I'm delivering to people. And more than anything else, that's what people pick up on. They don't want you to be 9 times out of 10. You may get the one random person who's like, send me an ingredient sheet, and we have an ingredient sheet that I can send her and I don't have to rattle them off. But at the end of the day, people are looking to see, can I trust this girl to help me? Like, does she know enough to know that I can get help from her? And so much of it is just our own confidence in talking about the products and talking about the company, in my opinion. So I would encourage y'all on that, is just like practice those were some of the questions in the comments here. It's just practice confident conversations, because more than anything, people are going to be attracted to, because remember, what are people always thinking of? They're always thinking about themselves. They're thinking, can this girl help me? Can this guy help me? That's what they're thinking about. So they want to know that you're speaking confidently about it and you feel confidence in it, and kind of transfer that over.
Yeah. And the last thing I'll say to that too, you guys, is I don't get into the mix of trying to convince people today. In the health and wellness industry, there is,
That's right.
forgive me, a shit ton of choices out there today. You can walk into a CVS, you can go into a Target, you can go into whatever. So when people are like, oh, well, what's this, and this? Yeah, I can send you labels, I can send you ingredients, but you know what I default to? Why I love this stuff. I'm going to tell you my story. I'm going to tell you what it's done for me. Maybe it's not a good fit for you. Don't be afraid to say that to people, because I've talked to people over the years, and I know Chelsea and Noelle have too, who I'm like, just trying to convince, like, oh my gosh, this is so good for you. People need to take ownership of, am I willing to give this, time? Am I willing to give this a go? So I come from this perspective of, this stuff is the greatest, on the planet. Do I take other supplements? Sure, I do. Like, that's a thing too. But I can tell you why I love Plexus. I can tell you what Plexus products I take. I can give you any information on all these products. I'm not a health expert. Don't be afraid to ask your doctor. Our products are not expensive. I will die on that hill. I have bought so many products over the years that are triple the price. Like, they're not expensive. When you can walk into like a GNC or something and buy a fat burner or, a probiotic that's at least double the price of what we offer. And we have a 60-day money back guarantee. And so I'm not in this game of arguing with people or trying to convince people. I'm like, this is what I love. This is what I take. This is what it does for me. Here's all the information and ingredients. And if somebody's got a specific question, maybe I'll reach out to Rebecca, or maybe I'll ask somebody, but I'll say, hey, ask your doctor, like I'm not trying to be that person for people that are trying to diagnose things or convince them or whatever. I'd much rather have people like myself who came along and were like, I'll try it. My mindset at the time when I ordered Plexus was like, I have wasted money on supplements. I've wasted money on a lot of stuff. I'll try it. What's the worst, like little over $100, like, let's go, let's do it. I'll spend that tomorrow at Target. I'll try it. So to me, I wasn't remortgaging my house it wasn't like a crazy insane amount of money. And I was like, I'll try it. And in that first 4 weeks, this is what I tell everybody. I started on the triplex. I was like, wow, I'm not craving sugar in the middle of the afternoon like I was, and I'm not crashing, falling asleep on the couch like at 7 p.m. like I was. That's all I said to people. I had energy and I wasn't craving sugar. That's all I said, you guys. That is literally how I built the first 5 years of my business. I wasn't crashing. I wasn't so sleepy. I'm not bouncing off the walls with energy, but I feel like I was refreshed, like I got a good night's sleep. That's what I said to people, literally. I don't know anybody today who doesn't need that. So I love that we do these product trainings and we dive deep, and I so appreciate you, Rebecca, and like your knowledge and all that stuff. But I don't want you guys, and please take all the notes, because I do that too, and I've done that. But I don't want you walking away feeling like, if I can't talk to like Rebecca does, I can't be successful in this and sell these products. You absolutely can. So I just want you to have confidence in the fact that we have products that work, we have products that are affordable, and you're not trying to convince anybody. Maybe it's not a one size fits all. Not every single product is for every single person out there. So I just want you to feel like that. I'm sorry, Noelle, go ahead.
Oh, it's okay. I was just going to add in that, and we've all heard it before, you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. I truly believe that, because when someone's ready, they're going to be all in no matter what you say. If someone's just in the contemplation, we all have had people that reach out, I want to change my life, but it was like, because they were, drunk on Friday night or whatever. Like, some people are not ready yet, and just never take that personally. It's all about us serving them. It's about them and their journey. And we're also learning, Rebecca and I are in a mastermind, and I was learning about objections. That objections are just a way to get to know someone better and get to know how you can serve them better. They just don't know the information. But also, a lot of times, if it's time or money, that is their paradigm. It's their belief system. And so we don't need to convince people, but if you really want to overserve, you can help them kind of shift that. Like, I asked a girl the other day, she's like, oh, I just have a hard time making decisions. I'm like, well, when has indecision held you up back in the past? And she's like, you're right. I'm like, do you want to feel better 9 months from now? Because you can't decide on buying a set of products. So you can help work them through it, but don't feel like you have to, because ultimately it's just about, like, don't take anything personally. It is never, ever, ever about you if they say no, So
Noelle, you make a great point. I think the people that have the most questions sometimes and the most objections are the people that are not necessarily going to be consistent, because they're not ready and they're looking for reasons, and they're looking for, yeah. But thank you, Rebecca. I think Stephanie nailed it. This really helps with confidence for us, right? That confidence to know that we have an amazing product and we don't need to know it all. All we need to know is, hey, this is going to make you feel better, and it's going to do for you, what it's done for us and other people.
Yeah. And I've had people ask me, Susan, like, well, what about this? And I'm like, you know what? I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
I haven't experienced that, but this is why I love it. And I always default to my own, my own story for sure. So
I've been listening to Rebecca every month, sometimes every week, and I still can't say the things she says. So don't worry. But it's good to know when I go to talk to someone, my belief is 100%, because everything she said made total sense, right?
Absolutely.
So it's really just about your belief and your enthusiasm.
yeah,
Absolutely.
Noelle's built a brand off of, I can't tell you the ingredients, but it's legal and it makes me feel good. Like, that's what she's told people who've joined her. Like,
one of my biggest, coolest takeaways from today was that the spirulina was actually put in there for color. Is that what you said, Rebecca? So the fact that Plexus is so devoted to using quality ingredients, that it's like, here we are trying to just make it a pretty color and use this amazing ingredient that has, created all of these other cool benefits.
I love it. So intentional. I love that. That's also good, girls.
Hey, Rebecca, I love that you said prosperous. Every time I talk to Rebecca, I wait for the word I'm going to have to Google. Even on the daily when we talk.
No, it was something else, Noelle. What was it? It was preponderous.
Preponderous. That's yeah. See, I can't even say it right. Preponderance. I was trying to spell it in the chat.
I joke that Rebecca and my husband speak the same language, and in our house, we've kind of coined a word. We made it all one word. Nobody knows what you're talking about. We'll like tease my husband sometimes. He'll say his big words, and we tease him. I won't say that to you, though, Rebecca.
Oh my goodness, that's so funny. Okay, so Noelle and I and Stephanie and I were kind of talking about the format of these calls, kind of having Rebecca open us up for the first little bit, doing our product calls. And these middle calls, kind of in the middle of the month, the first call is going to be our opportunity, our new VIP. The end of the month, we're having a speaker. We really found a lot of value in the calls that we've kind of opened up to kind of open coaching. And so that's going to kind of be our format moving forward of these calls kind of in the middle of the month, of just like we did in the chat here, sharing a win, something that went well this week, and then sharing a challenge and then kind of walking through that. So I'd love to kind of do that and just kind of walk through some of these comments and just kind of like touch on some of those things and talk through those. And I'm going to start, and Noelle and Stephanie, y'all feel free to just jump in here. But I just think there's a lot of value in us just real time, like workshopping some of these things that we're working through during the middle of the week. One of the things, Erin, I'm gonna call you on the carpet first. Erin, let me first praise her publicly. This girl, if you are not following her on Instagram, you need to follow her. She has been showing up consistently for the past 3 weeks, just getting in there, doing the things, creating a brand for herself, working on her bio, sharing in stories. I'm so proud of you. You are showing up and being consistent and doing the things. So if you're not following Erin Rogers, go do it. She's just going to pour into your soul. One of the things that she shared, and I want to normalize this for everybody because this is something that all of us, I feel like, have faced if you've been in network marketing for more than 2 weeks, is just feeling like I have nobody else to reach out to, because she's also been really consistent with her IPA sheet. I think she's the only person in my chat who is still going with the 15-day challenge. She's going to win the $50 in my chat just because she's been so consistent. And when you do that, and you're consistent with reaching out to 3 to 5 people a day, you are inevitably, if you're not growing your network intentionally, you are inevitably going to run out of people to talk to. And I think this is something that we've got to really normalize and get back to in the network marketing space, is that we are network marketers. And that means that we are constantly expanding our network, whether that means you are meeting new people in person, whether that means you're expanding on social media. If you're reaching out to 3 people every day and you're not making 3 new contacts every day, the math at some point is just going to math, and you're going to run out of people to reach out to. So if you find yourself kind of in that season of like, I've reached out to everybody, I followed up to everybody, what you need to be doing is pouring into your funnel and focusing on networking. And how can you do that? You can physically go to events. If you have kids, like, utilize your kids for networking, go to school parties, get in moms groups at school, connect on social media. On social media, you can connect with other people who are kind of within your niche or within your realm. Moms groups on Facebook are still a great way, and Facebook groups in general are still a great way to meet people. If you're on Instagram, find kind of an influencer who is in your space. Like if you're, I don't know, if you're a dog mom and that's your niche, go find kind of an influencer that's a dog mom. Look in the comments, because you're going to find people who are your people in the comments and connect with them. Comment on their comments, DM them, connect with them, follow them, send them a message. You've got to be willing to get out of your comfort zone and connect with new people, because that's where people get to senior, silver, and gold, and they're like, my market's dried up. Like, I can't do this anymore. It's because we've got to intentionally be networking. And I saw that Ashley shared. I'm also going to shout Ashley out. Ashley's doing an event on the 26th. It's the 26th, right, Ashley? 24th. It's on my calendar. I'm able to go, so I'm really excited. I didn't tell you today, but I'm going to be able to come. She's doing a really cool sourdough and gut health class. She's invited a girl who does sourdough, and we all know the good gut health benefits of that. And it's going to be like a Plexus sourdough gut health get together at her house. Like, how cool is that? Like, how much value are people going to get coming to her house and learning about that? That's a great example of this, is just adding value and networking with people. So I love that. Noelle and Steph, I don't know if you have anything to add on to that, but that's always the answer, is like, if you feel like you don't have any people to reach out to, then you need to find more people to reach out to. Bottom line, like, you got to grow your network. I think when I started Plexus, I didn't even have an Instagram account, but I had like 700, 800 Facebook friends, and now I have almost 2,000, and that's been really intentional. I've intentionally grown my network.
I don't know what event we learned this at, but somewhere we learned this, where you go find people that you like to follow, and maybe you're not going to reach out to that big giant influencer maybe, but
Right.
the people that are commenting under them. So
Yeah.
like I love self-development, so I'll sign up for all the free Tony Robbins events and like Ed Milet events, and they always have a Facebook page that goes with it. And you go in there, and half the time they say you can introduce yourself and say who you are, so that's a win. But also just going under those people's posts and seeing who's commenting and striking up friends, you know? I
Yeah,
like that.
people do
I-
that in the comments all the time. Like, and I'm like, I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing. I see other people like in my niche getting in there and commenting with my and I'm like, go girl, like get in there, make some connections, you know? It's just smart.
I will just say one thing I just want to add to this is I want, like, when I started Plexus in 2014, obviously it was a much different landscape on social media with sharing products and, you know, in the MLM industry specifically, like it was just different. And we're so, like, I feel like I could talk for hours about this, but we're so accustomed to being sold to today and all the things that have inspired and like grown in our industry. It's more important than ever today to be yourself, to be authentic, to show up and to be consistent, all the things. But one thing I want to say is I don't want you to hang your hat on the fact that if I don't get people that respond to my Instagram or Facebook after a period of time, then maybe I can't do this business. Maybe I can't be successful in it. I just want to reiterate, because I have felt this in seasons too. Social media is just a tool. I think you're crazy if you don't use it. Because I have, I'm 46 and I sign people that are like my age who are like, well, I'm not really on social media. I'm like, well, you don't need it to do this business. But I think you're, missing out if you don't. So I wanted to say, like, don't hang your hat if you're, like, oh my gosh, I'm not getting, the response from social media. Also, in like 2017, 2018, when I was Sapphire, I was like stuck for a period of time and kind of going backwards. And a girlfriend of mine was like, I think we need to, like get into a mastermind or get out of our house. And I joined this mastermind, and I like talking about this because I just want to inspire you to like plant the seed with you guys to maybe start this for your own sake. Like, I joined this mastermind. It was like 8 of us. I was the only female. We were all female, but I was the only woman in the group that was in network marketing. So out of the 8 of us, 2 of them were realtors. One of them was like a business coach. The other one was like a social media, like content person. One's a photographer. But we all came together like 2 Fridays a month. And kind of what we did was we would have 2 people come forward on each meeting. That one person would teach something, could be an app you were using, could be something that you recently learned, something that was working for you. And the other person was like in the hot seat. And in the hot seat could be like, the photographer who was in the group was like, I'm trying to do this new photography package, and I'm thinking about what to charge, and just like kind of like powwowing, like tossing up like what I'm struggling with or whatever. And I can't tell you guys how much I gained from that group, just being in a room with women who are in business. So I just say this to be like, if you find yourself in a place, either way, if like social media is working for you or not, but don't be afraid to like raise your hand or make a post or like reach out to friends of yours and be like, hey, do you want to do something monthly together? Like, we're all like-minded here. We're all in business. Like, I think it's a powerful thing. And I think it's, something that's not done enough, to just sit in a room with people, just on the notion of, can we just brainstorm and put our heads together, and how do we make each other better? I didn't come into this room with like the notion that I'm going to sign all these women up on my Plexus team, but just like, how can I contribute to them, to their success, and how can I make myself better? I'm all about doing that this year. So I just wanted to kind of share that with you guys. Like, don't be afraid to like put all your eggs in one basket with social media. Go out there and talk to women in your community, in your church, in your cul-de-sac, in your, and be like, hey, you want to get together once a month, like whatever, or twice a month, like what are you doing? Like, how can I help you? Like, I think there's so much value in that, and we don't do that enough. So I just wanted to say that.
I want to say, I'm gonna write that down and put it on a t-shirt. Like, you have got to put all your eggs in the basket. Like, that's what it is. You've got to be willing to put all your eggs in the basket, because sometimes we want to put one egg in the basket and put it out there and see if anybody wants the egg, but nobody wants the one egg. They want to join the person who has all their eggs. Tyson's coming in. Who has all their eggs in the basket, because you're not, and this is just tough love. Like, you are not going to be successful with this. You are not going to make career income with this if you have one egg in the basket. Like, you have got to go all in. You've got to go all in on your belief. You've got to go all in on educating yourself about this industry. You've got to go all in on normalizing network marketing as a legitimate career opportunity. And I love, Stephanie, that you were talking about that. You're in a room with these realtors and all these other women who are like big powerhouse women, and you're in that space normalizing network marketing as a legitimate income source for women. And we are so afraid to talk about this because of whatever stigma people have. And by the way, the stigma is falling away from social media, from network marketing. For those of us who are doing it correctly, and those of us who are adding value outside of just getting on there and slinging a pink drink, the stigma is falling away, but you have got to be the one to change people's minds about it. If you are shooting yourself in the foot, if you have one toe in and one toe out, hoping maybe this works out, it doesn't work out that way. It's like, this is all or nothing. And I get a little bit fired up and passionate about this because I don't know a single jewel, maybe like 3 who got really lucky and maybe signed up like 2 crazy runners. I don't know. But the rest of us, there was a point where we had to decide, I'm going crazy all in. Like, this is plan A. Like, I'm not going to quit my job yet, but I am going all in on this idea that I can make this work. And that's what you have to do. Like, you really have to just put on, somebody get me, Ashley, get me a screen print. Put all your eggs in the basket.
That would be
Our convention. That's going to be our convention shirts this year.
I love this. And 2 things I learned about this experience, you guys, is one of them, they didn't have half of the mental mind blocks or the, any like, just being insecure about being in an MLM. They didn't see that at all. And they weren't thinking that. And, like, I went into this thinking, oh my gosh, like, I'm the only person in here who's in an MLM. They did not see that at all. And when I would share about Plexus or what I was doing, they were like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. Like, it just goes to show you, like, you can't walk in with this mindset or just be in this mindset of, oh my gosh, professional women in other industries think this is crap. No, they don't. They don't know what like what for the people who do have biases or whatever. But I'm telling you guys, it's not 1995 anymore. People are very open to making other streams of income. And they're very open to talking to you. I don't care what rank you are, when you're like, I'm in this company and like, this is what they offer. And this is what, that was a whole thing. That was a whole thing right there. And the second thing I want to say is in a time that I was in this mastermind with them, my business was not growing. I was going backwards in points. Like, I was struggling, but you guys, I felt like I was on top of the world because I was growing myself. So that was huge because I felt like I'm filling my cup here. I know I'm on the right path, and it really helped me to be in this valley and this dip in my business, just in this season where I wasn't like, looking at my back office and on paper, I wasn't growing, but personally I was, and that did everything for me. And trust me, it caught up. So I feel like you're going to have times in this, if you give yourself permission and you put yourself in the right rooms with the right people, that you are growing. So don't always say, well, I mean, if I didn't hit this rank, or if my points look like this, or if people are quitting or whatever, that does not equal your success or your ability to be successful in this, or your ability to be a great leader in this. Like, there's a lot to consider in that. So I hope that makes sense, but it really, like, I felt like saved me during a time that I was in a really low part in my business where I had complete faith in Plexus, complete faith in these products and our comp plan. But I just wasn't in a really big growing season, but I was in a room full of women who were growing their businesses, asking me all about it and like, how can we help you be better? So I just really encourage you to do something like that. Meet up at a Starbucks, meet up at your house. Like, just, it doesn't have to be anything big, but just, and even if you know people in your network who you look up to, who are great in business, who you admire or whatever, don't be afraid to reach out to them and say, I would love to learn from you, or I'd love to just, link arms with you. I'd love to have a conversation with you. Just woman to woman, like with what I'm doing. I mean, don't be afraid to do that, you guys. Like, I always say, like, obviously you're going into it now with an agenda to sign up the whole room for your Plexus team, but just to be open-minded to say, what can I learn from you and what can I give to you that you can learn from me and things like that. So, and Ray, I'm sorry, men too. I've been saying women
Yeah,
all
you guys
night.
gotta
like,
talk for the men. Dan made
Yeah,
a couple comments. He's like,
same,
I'm gonna go in the
same.
moms group.
I know, like same across the board, right? Like
He said he
men,
got kicked out of the moms group. But you guys, like what Stephanie's saying is show up to serve, to learn, to grow, to give. The more you serve, the better you're going to do. When you do a post, don't think, oh my gosh, is someone going to judge me for this? That's fear. That's selfish. If you think, is there one person that I can hit, that I can impact, that I can affect today? Is there one person that's sitting at home praying for this answer? And when you message people, same thing. I mean, anyone who knows me knows I pray before I message people. I'm like, God, send me the people I'm meant to serve. And people are put on my heart. And when I message them, I say that. Like, how can I serve you? Of course, Plexus is going to change their life. Like, I think I know the hearts of every one of you on this call. You're not doing it just to get, but like, we want to give, but we also want to serve on a bigger level. And I want to just acknowledge all of you guys that are being consistent, because I had 2 people message me today and I haven't even been consistent the last couple weeks going, I need Plexus. And they're no one I've ever talked about, never liked a post of mine. I'm like, okay, I must just be a Plexus billboard at this point. But seriously, like, just keep showing up. I also want to give a quick shout out to Susan and Rebecca, who will be in Punta Cana this week. And I'm very proud of them. There were a lot of excuses they could have had. The flights were expensive. There was a lot going on. There was a lot to earn that. So I just wanted to acknowledge them.
That's amazing. Congrats, y'all. So awesome.
when do you guys leave?
What? Well, we leave on Thursday. I think Rebecca leaves on Friday. When do you leave, Susan?
We're driving to Chicago Friday night and then catching a flight early Saturday morning in Chicago.
But I just wanted to acknowledge them because, 9 years of leaders retreats, I know how amazing they are, but there were a lot of obstacles to this one. Like when Plexus booked this years ago, flights to Dominican were like $200. Now they're like $1,200 from Michigan, right? But Plexus books them way in advance, so they had no idea that was going to happen, right? So I'm just really proud of you guys for doing it. Because, and maybe we can get them on a call sharing something at some point.
Would love that. Would love that. I actually got to talk to Chris Smith. He's one of the coaches and has been working a lot on Leaders Retreat. And I talked to him this week. He said this is going to be, not to rub it in my face or anything, he said, but this is going to be the most epic Plexus event we've ever had. So
I just told Rebecca that. I go, I have a feeling this is going to be the greatest event ever, didn't I, Rebecca? And she goes, well, you always are intuitive on that.
he said, like, with it being an all-inclusive and the way that Plexus rolls out the extra red carpet on top of it, it's going to be off the charts. So I'm so excited for y'all. That's amazing. Have so much fun.
Thank you.
So we'll do the same format next week. We'll do, we won't do a product training, but we'll do some sort of like mini training at the very beginning. And then we'll kind of just troubleshoot and we'll open coach and share wins, share challenges. So y'all just plan on that. The middle 2 calls in the middle of the month, we'll do it that way. Stephanie has also opened up some power hours for the rest of this month. And I opened some up that I'm going to be running. I'm going to be doing some on Wednesdays. I think Stephanie's got one on Thursday coming up next week. And Noelle, I'll share those with your team too. Your team is welcome to hop on any of the power hours that I'm doing as well.
Yeah, and our team just started something new this week that seems to be working. We're doing support half hours one during the day and one at night for any new VIPs, anybody who's been taking the products for a while and plateaued. And this week we had like some amazing people jumping on, sharing their testimonies and then saying what's next or trying to get started. And now we're having our leaders rise up and run them. So like this week we have Rebecca ran one, Michelle's running one, Maggie's running one. So if you guys have people you want to send to those support groups, and if you ever want to run one, I'm telling our leaders, you don't have to know everything. You just have to be there to hear them, you know?
When are you doing those, Noelle?
We're doing Tuesday at 12:30 and Thursday at 7 p.m. So we had like all the people I knew that worked said lunchtime was the best. But we like to have one when Andrus is at school.
That's awesome. I love that.
But I'll send you. I mean, I even made a graphic, Chelsea. You'd be proud of me. It's not pretty like yours, but I made one for them.
I bet it's beautiful. Nobody cares how pretty the graphic is.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and I just had a thought while you guys were talking about power hours. I don't know if anybody's open to this, but just wanted to at least throw it out there. Because I know Ray was talking about earlier, his goals for today were to reach out to 5 people. And then Stephanie, you were talking about like the women's group and just kind of networking and everything like that. I'd actually joined an online networking thing where they did breakout rooms and gave you each like 30 to 60 seconds to kind of share your like I help or your need or whatever like that. And I found that hugely beneficial. I'm also in my local chamber, which kind of does the same thing, right? Just sharing needs and kind of masterminding and hot seat and that type of thing. But I guess I was just thinking that might be a really powerful thing to do in like power hours where you actually kind of go around and let everybody give like their 30-second, whether it's the I help or, you know, what, just to get people really comfortable with, you know, this is why I share, this is what I'm passionate about, this is what I do. So I think a lot of times when somebody asks that question, if you haven't curated your elevator speech, so to speak, right, you're not as apt to lean into that, you know, you're more likely to fall back on your profession or other things like that. So I don't know. I was just thinking that might be a really good opportunity to
That's
I
work
awesome.
on
think that's a great idea, Rebecca. Like to, you know, and hopefully we'll have a good response from people who show up on these power hours. And I just want to say with all the power hours, like we're doing, like this is something new this year that Noelle and Chelsea and I have kind of leaned into is like, let's make ourselves available. Let's just do these random times during the day and in the evening so that people can hop on if you got a question or you want to brainstorm or you need coaching on something. But yeah, I think to get, you know, people, an amount of people that show up on one, especially if you're on different teams between the 3 of us, I think that's a great idea to put them in breakout rooms and just be like, all right, practice like y'all don't know each other and just introduce yourselves and what you do. That's really good. Because I agree, it's like, you know, I've been in that place too, like even years into this where you're, you know, I'm in the supermarket and I'm talking to somebody and all of a sudden it's like, what do you do? Or just my son's playing football and meeting new parents on Saturday at the field. It's like, what do you do? You know, and telling them I'm in Plexus and just getting used and very comfortable to saying that. So it doesn't sound, you know, weird or crazy.
I work in senior living, and it's a thing to have a 30-second commercial for different members of the community, housekeepers, caregivers, so that I'm in sales as we're on a tour. If you bump into a housekeeper, you want her to have her little 30-second commercial where she can introduce herself, talk about how she keeps you know, what she does for the community. So that just kind of triggered that I don't have a 30-second commercial for Plexus. So I'm going to work on that.
Elevator speech, right? Didn't they used to call
Right.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's perfect, Susan. Same. Yeah. Just having that to where it just kind of flows and it feels natural. And it's what you do. And
Exactly. You've practiced it. It's super. Yeah.
The last thing that I wanted to add, Chels, was not to count anyone out. Like I actually have a call set up when I get back from Punta Cana with a guy who was changing the mats out at my daughter's school. Like and I just started talking to him and then I was like, are you ever looking to make some extra income? He's like, of course I am. Isn't everybody? And I'm like, you have a great personality. Like I love people with good energy. So don't write anybody off, right? Anybody you see is someone you can serve. And that's the blessing we have with this, you know?
So good. So true. This was fun, y'all. It's good to see everybody on tonight. We will see y'all. Happy Valentine's Day, by the way. to
Happy
everybody.
Valentine's Day. I'm on the last day of the reset and I'm so scared I'm going to wake up tomorrow eating chocolate. I love the reset. Have you guys all done it more than once? Like every time I fall more and more in love with it. Like I'm obsessed. I want to be on it all the time.
I don't want to be on it all the time, but I do love it.
Chelsea, we're going to be in Punta Cana next Tuesday. So some of us might not be on. You're good with that?
Oh yeah, well, I'll be here, Noelle.
That was
Are
your
you not,
choice.
you're not going?
It was her choice.
Yeah, my husband can't go, and I thought about taking the kids, but it was going to be 3,500 for us to fly down there, and we just ultimately didn't feel comfortable us traveling outside of the country with all three of us. So he's in the middle of basketball season. We have a big family trip 2 weeks afterwards, so it was just a lot of logistics. And
No, I would have flown to Georgia and taken some of your kids and flown with.
I know it just wasn't in the cards this time, but I'm so excited for those of y'all going. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I'm so excited for you guys going. And I'll be here next week. I didn't earn it, y'all. I didn't earn it. First leaders retreat last year I've not earned, and I'm bummed, but I'll be here. I'll be here on the call next week. So
And if you guys aren't signed up for convention, it's going to be epic.
We're going to talk about convention next week. Like it is a must go. It's a must go. We're going to pile 8 deep in a
A
hotel room
date?
if necessary.
that's
Do you have
right.
date? Do you have the date?
Yes, it's the 18th to the 21st. Is that right, Steph?
Yes.
Okay, of June?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Oh, good. I
Yeah.
only have one conflict all summer and it is the first week in June. So I was like,
And
please
it's
don't
close.
let-
Like we could just like swing by on our plane and like take a
Yeah.
little detour and come get you.
Listen, everybody
go to
on
bed.
this team comes
only-
to convention.
It's
Everybody comes to convention.
it's going to change your business. It's going to
We-
change your life. I'm not understating that.
No
Overstating.
excuses. Like, I don't care if we have to share a bed together, if you're on the floor in my room, like everybody comes to convention. Like that's the very first convention that Noelle came to, there was 4 of us in a room together.
I
And
didn't know any of them. I got on.
yeah, I had never met Noelle. Noelle's like, I'm coming. I'm like, girl, you're staying in my room. So this is how we roll on this team. Everybody's coming. Like
Dan's
all you
first
gotta
convention. Dan's first convention. He went from not wanting to work this business to going Emerald a year later. Like the convention's the real deal.
Convention's a life changer. I never met Chelsea. She called me and she's like, I'm coming to convention. And she came by herself, didn't know a soul and plexus. Like it's a game changer, you guys. So you gotta come. You gotta come. Yeah.
Change my life. We'll chat more next week.
Yes.
Love you guys. My
Yeah.
Love
favorite.
y'all. Y'all have a good night. Happy Valentine's Day.
Yeah. Love you guys.
Good night.
Good night.